Hi there. This is Afro Perspectives. Tax increases for the Zimbabweans and the plundering of the country's public resources. Mthuli Ncube, Minister of Finance in Emmerson Mnangagwa's cabinet, has just announced that the fuel levy in Zimbabwe is going up. Thus, Mthuli Ncube going through the paces and inflicting pain on ordinary Zimbabweans. I consider taxes to be just that, especially when you consider that this is a regime that cheats through its way through winning phantom victories at election time, a regime that no one has elected. Well, I will try not to bore you with the fancy details. Mthuli has said that from the May 9th of 2025, the strategic reserve levy shall be calculated at the rate of 24 US cents per liter for petrol, and then at the rate of 19 US cents per liter for diesel. The last time there was an increase was in 2024. And according to Mthuli Ncube, this adjustment or the increase represents an increase of 28.34%. And the last time, that is before May 2027, petrol used to cost 17 cents a liter, and then that is the petrol levy, and roughly 19.1% at 15 cents per liter on the diesel levy. Forgive me if that is coming across as a bit complex. What Mthuli Ncube is saying is that the next time you fill your tank at the petrol forecourt, you will face an increase of 28% from the last time you topped up to your car, and that is likely before the 9th of May. And for diesel, it's going to be a 19% increase. Consider this: the highest price for petrol in Africa is paid by motorists in the Central African Republic, who pay a staggering $1.84, that is in US dollars for petrol. Zimbabwe is not far behind, in second place, with petrol costing $1.65 in US dollars. In case you might have missed it, the Central African Republic is a country often referred to as a failed state. And Zimbabwe, just on that measure alone, is competing for top spot as a failed state with the likes of the Central African Republic, where you have to pay a small fortune just to fill up your petrol tank at the forecourt. Emmerson Mnangagwa's government has run out of ideas generating revenue. This increase in taxes is going to multiply hardship on already struggling Zimbabweans. Never mind that this increase is targeted at fuel sales at the pump. I'm not an economist, and I can only offer a common sense approach to this issue. Zimbabwe's economy has all but collapsed. Manufacturing is non-existent. These taxes, as far as I can tell, they will add up to the cost of doing business, and the little industry that's left is going to pass on the cost to the already struggling consumer. The ZANU-PF regime under Emmerson Mnangagwa does not care what the average Zimbabwean goes through. So does Mnangagwa's Minister of Mines and Mining Development, has arrogantly offered his advice to those who can no longer afford to buy fuel at the petrol forecourts. His advice is for them to go on to Zupco buses. The irony is that Zupco itself collapsed a long time ago, and the NRZ, the state body charged with running trains and operating its railway lines, the services are non-existent. And to put the increase of in the price of fuel on already struggling Zimbabweans that is just a stealth tax. It's abusive and it's oppressive. It has nothing to do with the price of fuel elsewhere. It's entirely the Zimbabwean government hitting Zimbabweans with a raft of new taxes. Like I've already said above, Zimbabwe already has some of the highest prices for fuel, both diesel and petrol, in the whole of Africa, and never mind in Southern Africa. So where is all this money collected by the government of Emerson Mnangagwa, where is it actually going? Well, you don't need the brains of an Einstein to figure out where the road lies and where and what's happening to the public funds. The issue is not that the money is not there. It's just that the public resources are plundered and are used by the likes of Chivayo to lead the life of a Saudi prince. Chivayo runs around in a charter jet, dishes out gifts of high-end luxury sports utility vehicles to buy the loyalty of prominent Zimbabweans into supporting the thieving ZANU-PF regime. Where any sane and rational person would pay a few $1,000s for a wedding ceremony, Chivayo pays a cool $500,000 in hard currency, the US dollar, all because such wanton extravagance is money plundered from the public purse. As you can see for yourself, it's not exactly that the Zimbabwe government has run out of money. It's just that there is no proper structures to manage the resources that are already there. The government uses creative ways to tax Zimbabweans at the point of consumption. This means that sometimes you are not even aware that you are being taxed. It's what some educated folks will call taxing by stealth. Consider this: Emerson Mnangagwa's ZANU-PF looting machine collects 5 cents a taxed on every US dollar of mobile airtime and data bought from the cell phone companies. It collects a total of 38 million US dollars, and it has been doing so every year since 2017. And look at this. You go to hospitals without even basics such as beds and just basic pain-killing medication, paracetamol. A prominent praise singer for the ZANU-PF regime, who is based in South Africa, was quick to point out that the tax increases are not even enough. He has suggested that the ZANU-PF regime should go further and even tax remittances from Kuru and other platforms for money remittances such as Western Union. ZANU-PF and its band of psychophans wants to tax even those who are unemployed and those who are enterprising enough to set up a plastic sheet on the pavement and sell vegetables to survive the crisis, a crisis that has been brought by ZANU-PF's mismanagement of public resources in the first place. I've been trying to avoid the subject of taxes for fear of where it would lead. If you are being taxed and you are not even entitled to know what your money is spent on, can such a regime justify those sort of arbitrary rule, that sort of arbitrary rule? The ZANU-PF regime, when it comes to spending money from Zimbabwe's public coffers, it is just one giant hole without a bottom. Even if that were the case, can a government that imposes such onerous taxes on Zimbabweans continue to steal election after election? Is it justifiable for a group of tired and clueless politicians to continue to cheat their way into power and then bleed ordinary Zimbabweans to death through an endless stream of taxes? Taxing people without justifying how you spend the money is the stuff of mass uprising. The last time I checked, they called it taxation without representation. When it comes to plundering the country of its resources and public funds, the ZANU-PF regime is an insatiable looting machine. The ZANU-PF regime has created an alphabet soup of schemes with fancy names like Rural Development 8.0. You just need to look at the so-called presidential schemes. You have got these schemes like climate-proofed input scheme, then the so-called presidential climate-approved cotton scheme, the bleeds on tick grease scheme, a community fisheries scheme, and poultry scheme, and the list goes on. And all these are creative and fancy ways to loot the public coffers of the little funds that are trickling in from the struggling average Zimbabwean. And All these various so-called presidential initiatives are said to have the noble goal of reducing poverty, the poverty of our compatriots living in the rural hinterlands. Consider this one little inconvenient fact. Lois Matanda Moyo, the public prosecutor general, who as a matter of coincidence used to lead the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, has recently admitted that the Zimbabwe government loses close to $2 billion a year to corruption. And then you have a thieving political elite that mismanages public resources at such a monumental scale. And they have the goal, they have the audacity to impose tax after tax on struggling Zimbabweans. No, I don't think this is justifiable at all. This is just pure oppression, pure tyranny. Then you can contrast that with the poverty of afflicting poverty people in rural communities. Consider this. As it stands right now, 4.5 million of our own fellow citizens who are living in the rural communities live in extreme poverty without even the basics one would expect to lead a normal and dignified existence. They have to do with just surviving on a basic, not even more than 50 cents, that is in US dollar terms. And it's mostly children who end up paying the burden of the mismanagement of resources by the corrupt and thieving ZANU-PF elite and its plan of public resources. The initiatives like I've just enumerated above have nothing to do with the improving the welfare of ordinary Zimbabweans living in rural communities. It is just a means for Emerson Mnangagwa to channel resources and reward those favored by the ZANU-PF system of patronage. After all, no member of parliament will ever ask Mnangagwa himself to appear before a parliamentary committee and give a breakdown of how he spent even a single cent on these so-called presidential schemes. Thank you for taking time to follow this piece. If there is anything that I have got wrong or I failed to mention, please drop your comments below. We are only a small channel and your support is highly appreciated. So please subscribe and don't forget to give me some likes. Thank you. Bye. Tatenda Siyawonga.